And there it's fired in. And it's Antoine Semenyo with his second Manchester City goal in his second game in Manchester City colours. And Manchester City take the lead. Rangers' first action to whip a corner in. Comes off the backside of Antoine Semenyo and it's 2-0. Even when he's not even trying to score, he does. And City double their lead. We do have VAR in the Carabao Cup Semi-Finals, and are they questioning whether there was an offside there? And final decision, offside, no goal. Absolutely stupid. Bizarre. I mean, this is completely and utterly ridiculous. The definition of trying to find something to disallow a goal rather than genuinely disallowing a goal for a valid reason. He's only been a City player for 5 days, is going to have the key impact as they break into the box here. Ball cut back, and it's fired in. And it's Ryan Cherky to double the lead. Right at the death, Manchester City make it 2. And they probably thought they should have been 2-0 up earlier. Well, they're 2-0 up now with seconds remaining. And I said Newcastle needed to find that balance between trying to push for the leveller and making sure they didn't concede a second. And now the defence of their title and their cup looks to be diminishing in front of their eyes. City have come to the home of the holders and taken it to them in the second half. A very good evening, welcome to Carabao Cup Live for our second semi-final first leg. And after last night's action, it is City who have the advantage going into the return leg against the holders Newcastle, 2-0 winners in that one at St James's Park last night. Tonight we watch a London derby. Chelsea side have been to the final in 3 times since they last won it, and certainly over the last number of years have faltered at Wembley. We'll talk about that in a moment. But Arsenal, they don't love a semi-final in this competition either. They lost the semi-finals last season to Newcastle, 2-0 in both legs, and have lost as of recently in the last 3 semi-final appearances. So they will be hoping that changes tonight, but which one of these two will progress, of course, will be one step closer to finding out. Of course, we won't have a definitive answer tonight, but one step closer to seeing which of these two teams are looking like they're going to Wembley. Let's recap it for you then. Newcastle 0, Man City 2 last night. Chelsea v Arsenal is tonight, 8 o'clock kickoff. And then the second legs, the 3rd and 4th of February, of course, at the Emirates and at the Etihad, all building up to the 2026 Carabao Cup final on Sunday the 22nd of March at Wembley. But of course, as you saw last night, Manchester City 2 goals to the good, and hoping they can do to Newcastle what Newcastle did to Arsenal last season. Well, Arsenal, their struggles in the Carabao Cup have been pretty well accustomed over the last number of years. They've reached the semi-final stage in 3 of the last 5 seasons, Arsenal, and in each of them they have failed to reach the final. Of course, in each of the last 2, this is their 3rd in 5 seasons, of course. And you see it there. It is a pretty dismal record in the Carabao Cup over the last few years. Of course, they played Chelsea tonight. They lost 4-0 on aggregate over the 2 legs against Newcastle last season, 2-0 in each leg. 2-0 at home as well. They went out to round 4 to West Ham the season previous, round 3 against Brighton the season before that. And the last time they were in the semi-finals before last season was in the 21-22 season when they lost to Liverpool 2-0 on aggregate. They drew 0 each at Anfield in the first leg and were beaten 2-0 in the return leg at the Emirates. And Manchester City knocked them out in the quarter-final stage, 4-1 in the 2020-21 season. And in each of those 3 occasions where they've got to the quarter-finals or later, they have faced the eventual winners, Arsenal, in each of those occasions. Could Chelsea have that good omen going in their favour tonight? Because that would certainly go in Chelsea's favour if that were to hold. But in terms of Chelsea, well, their struggles are pretty well documented too. Well, since winning the competition in the 2014-15 season against Spurs at Wembley, they've been to Wembley in the final 3 times, Chelsea, and they've lost each one of them. They, of course, got to the final as of recently of the 23-24 season when they lost 1-0 after extra time. Virgil van Dijk's winner for Liverpool in that final to win it. Also against Liverpool in the 21-22 final where they lost on penalties. In the 2018-19 final against Man City when they also lost on penalties. And then they last faced Arsenal in the semi-finals of this competition back in 17-18, which they lost 2-1 on aggregate. And of course the 2014-15 season where they won the Carabao Cup final, Chelsea, by 2-0 against London opponents in Tottenham Hotspur. So certainly these two teams either don't like getting to finals or don't like winning them in this competition. But one of them surely has got to change tonight. A Chelsea team that swept past Charlton in the FA Cup. Arsenal did the same against Portsmouth too. But a much tougher opponent for these two managers tonight. Liam Rosenior's Chelsea, his first home game in charge against Mikel Arteta's Arsenal. There's no harder task really, is there? And we'll be waiting to see which one can give themselves a real benefit hope of getting to that Wembley final. Kick-off, and we'll have team news as well in just a second. Welcome back to Carabao Cup Live. Here are the teams for tonight's semi-final first leg. Let's start with the home team in Chelsea. Robert Sanchez comes back into goal. A back four of Josh Achiempong at right back. Wesley Fofana and Trevor Chalobah are the back centre-backs tonight, with Marc Cucurella playing at left back. Andres Santos comes into the side. He's alongside captain Enzo Fernandez in midfield. João Pedro drops into the 10 role with Estevao on the right, Pedro Neto off the left, and Marc Gui starts up front. On the bench for Chelsea, Jorgensen, Badiashile, Tosin, Hato, Asugo, Buonanotte, George, Garnacho and Mahuka. No Reece James tonight. He took a knock. And also no Cole Palmer, which is a big blow to Chelsea this evening. For Arsenal, Kepa starts in goal, continuing with their backup goalkeeper in the Carabao Cup. Ben White starts at right back alongside William Saliba and Gabriel at centre backs, with Urian Timber going into his more natural role at left back. Martin Zubimendi is alongside Declan Rice and captain Martin Odegaard in midfield, with a front three of Bukayo Saka, Leandro Trossard and Victor Gyökeres, the front three that couldn't find a way past Liverpool 6 days ago. On the bench for the Gunners, Raya, Lewis Skelly, Norgard, Madueke, Moreno, Jesus, Eze Martinelli and Kai Havertz. It is two big London rivals. It's red v blue in the Carabao Cup Semi-Final first leg at Stamford Bridge. Kick-off is next. A very good evening. Welcome to Carabao Cup Live here in LFS for our second semi-final first leg of the evening, and there's a minute's applause for Eddie McCready, a former Chelsea player, of course, who died at the age of 85 in the last couple of days, and a moment of applause for one of the Chelsea legends. But we remember what is set to be a cracking night. I'm sure these two teams will go toe-to-toe, I'm sure, and after last night's action that swung one way and then the other. It took a while for the last night's game to get going, but I'm sure that these two will have a good go at each other tonight, and hopefully they can give us an entertaining match. I wouldn't bet against it. Andy in the Chelsea's hi sir. And what an interesting game for new Chelsea manager. Delap might start to shine now the man signed him as a 16-year-old kid. He did indeed, of course. But the new Chelsea manager in his first home game in charge, Liam Rosenior. He's already faced London opposition in Charlton in the FA Cup. But this is much tougher red and white London opposition in the league leaders Arsenal. The team that have been on a 5.5-year trophy drought since their FA Cup success in 2020. And Chelsea, well, they are technically still the world champions because of their the FIFA Club World Cup victory in the summer just gone. As always with Chelsea, you might be a holder of a trophy. That doesn't always guarantee that the manager will stay in place. And a swift change on the bench. Liam Senior, of course, at Strasbourg in France, and part of the club model of Chelsea, part of the ownership model that owns Strasbourg as well as Chelsea. And it is Arsenal who get us underway here at Stamford Bridge. An early chance here for Saka in behind, and right across to Robert Sanchez, who has to make a first connection inside 10 seconds. See it here, it's just a bounce ball in behind the Chelsea defence, and Saka gets in behind Cucurella. Just kind of rolls it across the 6-yard area. A simple one for Robert Sanchez to grab onto. This will be a real tussle between these two. I'm really looking forward to this one. Of course, they have already met at the Bridge this season, a 1-1 draw back in late November. Trevor Chalobah and Mikel Merino, the two scorers. But that was after Chelsea went down to 10 men. Moises Caicedo was sent off in that game after initially being given a yellow card, but VAR upgraded it to a red. In the end, Arsenal were scraping to scramble a point out of that game after being 1-0 down against 10 men. And they have an early free kick here, Chelsea. Enzo Fernandez, deep ball. Gyökeres got his head to it, but he flicked it further forward for Chelsea and wins them a throw-in down this left-hand side. I do expect this to be a more open game. I think both teams have got that real quality in the attacking third, but it all depends whether that really incredibly strong Arsenal defence can be found a way past by Chelsea tonight. You know, one of the best defences in not only English football but probably in European football at the minute. They win an early corner here, Chelsea. It's their captain Enzo Fernandez is over to take. Has the armband tonight. No Reece James. The Senior said he took a knock to his hip during the week. Or during the last couple of days. Enzo Fernandez whip ball in and tried to sneak it round the near post, but watched and guided and put wide. Goal kick. He tried to sneak it inside the near post towards Kepa's goal. Of course, former Chelsea goalkeeper Kepa. Actually, funnily enough, in one of those finals we talked about that Chelsea were in, it was Kepa that missed the decisive penalty that won the Carabao Cup for Liverpool and lost it for Chelsea at Wembley on that day in 2022. 4 years later, he's facing his former side in the semi-finals in an Arsenal shirt rather than a Chelsea shirt, which is quite interesting. Quite a full circle moment, that is. As Ben White throws it in back to Saliba. Now here to Kepa. Now across to Gabriel. Timber. 3 minutes gone. It's mainly been Chelsea in possession early doors as Arsenal couldn't link it up down the left there. Gyökeres was beaten to it, but a ball down the right from André Santos towards Esteval was well cut out by Timber. Nice pick up by Rice, but he's a bit loose to give it away to Enzo Fernandez. And back to Chalobah and all the way back to Robert Sanchez. Well, it will be an intriguing battle, I would suspect, tonight between these two. I really don't know what to expect in terms of whether Arsenal will dominate possession, whether they'll want to be a bit more counter-attack, and whether Chelsea will adopt that sort of method of trying to be more possessive and throw themselves to Arsenal. Because if you really want to take it into consideration, You know, Arsenal's last game in the against the Premier League opponent, of course, at Liverpool last Thursday. I think a game of two halves in that one as well. Arsenal dominated the first half, didn't create much chances, in the end couldn't find the net, but dominated the game. Second half, Liverpool came out, were a bit more expansive, were a bit more aggressive, were more attacking, and ended up really penning Arsenal into an awkward situation. Really came out and showed their strength in that second half, Liverpool. And I think if they had a cutting edge, if they had a star striker, someone up front for them on Thursday night, they would have found a way past Arsenal. So maybe Chelsea can adopt that method to kind of just go at Arsenal a little bit, make them try and defend you early doors, make it a little tougher for them, and don't let them have the possession. But for Arsenal, I mean, it's easy to say that, but I mean, that's why Arsenal are the best team in the league at the minute, because they find a way. And of the long throw in down the left here for the Gunners, taken short actually by Declan Rice. Duped everybody. Comes back out to Rice and tries to find it out to the left hand side to, not sure who that was there. I think it might have been Trossard, was it? No, it was actually Timber. Yeah, it was Jurriën Timber, and he's just sliding to win the corner. He might have just caught Trevor Chalobah there, but completely accidental there from Jurriën Timber. Corner to Arsenal. Referee this evening, Simon Hooper. And Arsenal with their first set piece of the game. The most set piece goals in all competitions in the top 5 European leagues this season for Arsenal. 23 goals from set pieces. Chelsea not too bad themselves, 16. Whip ball in by Rice. Header at the back post is in. That's why they're the best at it. And it's Ben White to give Arsenal the lead. It seemed really easy, but that's why they make it look easy, Arsenal. Set pieces are their forte, and Chelsea could do very little about that. Beautiful delivery by Rice. Great header by Ben White. And that is an early setback for Liam Rosenior's Chelsea. But again, their first corner of the game. Declan Rice right-footed it, swung in. A ferocious cross. And it's Ben White inside. I mean, he's 2 yards from goal. Free man, free header, and back across goal. I mean, Chelsea looked hopeless defensively there. I mean, I don't actually know what their idea was. I mean, Ben White was given a free header, but even at that, not a single player is anywhere near that for Chelsea in trying to stop that ball going at. I mean, the goalkeeper's completely clueless as well. Although, well, they have checked and cleared at VAR for a second. They were checking for a possible offside, but they've checked and cleared. I don't think they want the shambles of what was last night. And they've got the goal early. And Ben White, the man to get it. And that is exactly the start that Arsenal would have wanted. In the away leg, taking the lead inside 7 minutes. That is the perfect start. Up in the air by Gabriel, a little awkwardly, but ultimately doesn't come to nothing for Chelsea as it rolls out for a throw-in in their own half. Well, I mean, it's just becoming ridiculous now. 24 goals from set pieces, and their first corner of the game. I mean, that's just incredible. And look at this from all season. When Arsenal score first, they have won 22 out of 22 games. They do not drop a single point. They do not fail to win. Oh, that's poor from Chelsea, playing out from the back as Rice's through ball couldn't find Leandro Trossard. Again, Chelsea playing dangerously here. Robert Sanchez plays it into Wesley Fofana, who Fofana tries to find it to Santos, I think it is. And he just kind of doesn't link it up. doesn't find that pass, and Arsenal with their intense press win it back, and then Rice's through ball doesn't find its target. But again, Chelsea a little bit nervous now. Just need to be sensible with this. Here is Estevao. All the way back it goes to Fofana. Back to Robert Sanchez again. Cross to Fofana. Neto. Lovely little 1-2 give and goes here as Neto carries the ball with him. Has he got any options? He does. Reverse it back into the midfield for Enzo Fernandez. That's better from Chelsea. Chalobah out to the right hand side to Achiampong. Now Enzo Fernandez. Patient possession from Chelsea in between the lines, and Fernandez. Fofana back to Robert Sanchez. Again, takes a risk, but nicely taken in by Estevao, who's gone central and was well smothered by Andrew Trossard and Declan Rice there, winning it back. That's nicely won back by Chelsea. Bit of space here for Enzo Fernandez. Straight down the throat of Kepa. He picked up a ball in real area space in the middle and decided to shoot from range. As Timber run that ball out of play. Could be key to Chelsea finding those gaps to shoot. Those turnovers. Trying to find tricky players and pockets of space. And, you know, they've got skillful players, Chelsea. Of course they do. I mean, they have young Estevao on that right-hand side. And obviously, Pedro Neto, who's, I mean, a pace machine down the left-hand side. Oh, Sanchez. Goodness me. Finds it to Fofana, but not without the nail-biting pass. As they do win the throw-in, Chelsea. Cucurella wants to move it quickly. As Guiu holds it up, but it's fed through now. Down the right comes Achiampong. Space here for Chelsea to progress the ball. Achiampong cuts it back to the edge of the area. Shot by Neto, was blocked. Picked back up by Chalobah, chased by Gyökeres. Nicely held by Achiampong. Better from Chelsea. Crowd happy with their response to going behind. Nice ball in between the lines. Estevao couldn't quite reach it. Picked back up by João Pedro. Nice Santos out to the right for Achiampong. Into Estevao. Fernandez left it, but Cucurella wasn't near him. And that's cleared away by Arsenal. Decent response here from Chelsea, though. Applying a little bit of pressure on Arsenal, and certainly a little bit of an outlet down that right-hand side. Achiampong and Estevao, a real link-up. Chalobah. Down the line it goes to Achiampong again. Inside to Estevao, who this will return it back to Wesley Fofana. Well, Ben White's goal is his first goal for Arsenal since the 23-24 season, where he scored 4 Premier League goals. And he hasn't scored in an EFL competition since he played for Leeds United in the Championship in the 1920 season, which is quite a stat. So Ben White, an unlikely Arsenal scorer, but from a set piece, it is usually Arsenal's defenders that do come out on top more. Andy says the Gunners look steady like always. Chelsea are more nervous. Next team that score will eventually win the game. I think if Chelsea score next, they will go on to win it. If the Gunners score again, it kind of obviously over. So here's a chance for Gyökeres, who zipped it just wide. Sanchez was trying to reach low down for it, but was wide of the target. See it again. Ball down that right hand side. Breaking forward was Martin Zubamendi, who was very far wide on that right hand side. He played it to Gyökeres, who worked a little angle. Spins away from Achiampong, gets a little bit of space, turns onto his left, and then strikes it across goal with his left foot. Just struck wide a goal. And took a deflection on the way through. And another Arsenal corner will come here. Their second of the game. He scored from there first, albeit from the opposite side, but Ben White will be much closer watched, I'm sure, this time than he was the last. But let's see what Saka's delivery is like. Bukayo Saka, little run up, left-footed ball, deep to the back post. Sanchez palmed it away, and then was cleared, but the referee had already given a foul for Chelsea. So free kick to Chelsea. See it again here, where the foul actually is. Yeah, just kind of pulled back there was Enzo Fernandez as he tried to clear it. Free kick to the Blues. Don't look comfortable at all though from those set pieces defensively, Chelsea, whatsoever. Achiampong plucks it out of the air nicely. Taken in by Estevao, who will just recycle the ball back to his captain, Fernandez. Cucurella. Cross to Fofana now. Chalobah. Chelsea trying to increase the tempo with the game, but Arsenal have everything covered, and Sanchez's ball towards Estevao was nicely cut out. Now Rice. Here is Declan Rice looking for options. Down the line it goes to Trossard. Trossard towards the box, skips past Santos. Trossard still got the ball in the edge of the box as he cuts it back to Timber. Timber now to Rice. Rice able to just recycle it back the way. Why is Palmer not in? That's big. Is he injured? I'm not too sure if he is injured, but he's not involved for Chelsea tonight, which is, I believe he might be injured, but I didn't quite hear what Liam Senior had to say on him. I just heard about Reece James, but I believe he is injured because he's not involved at all tonight, which is a shock. And two really big body blows for Chelsea tonight. The fact that they don't have their club captain Reece James and probably their most creative player in Cole Palmer. I mean, that is going to hamper any team. And it certainly will be a struggle for Chelsea on those fronts. But have other options to step up. As we see that corner again. I mean, I genuinely don't know what the idea was from Chelsea defensively there, because they've loads of players in the box, but not a single one of them is anywhere near stopping that. The cross is beautiful, no doubt. The header is really good, but the goalkeeper hasn't a clue of the flight of the ball. And there's about 5 or 6 Chelsea defenders in there, and none of them are within a number of yards of the ball. It's very peculiar, very strange that. But it also could be. I said how ferocious that cross is from Declan Rice, and one of the best deliverers of a ball in the Premier League, no doubt about it. And that's why those corners are so threatening, because of the delivery is so good that it makes it so much more difficult. But to try and defend, but from Chelsea's point of view, it looked really hopeless defensively there. Here's Kepa. Pumps it forward. Header won by Achiampong, and wanted a foul there as Estevao challenging Trossard, but Estevao won it cleanly, said the referee, and now here's João Pedro breaking down the right side. He's got Guiu in the box as well as Neto. Pedro's cross, trying to find Neto, just overhit that one. Right for a goal kick. Yeah, not on that occasion. Yeah, nice idea to try and get the ball in, just a little bit overhit. towards Pedro Neto. Chelsea are okay at taking free kicks and scoring with the defender. They're not that good defending set pieces with the same defenders, it seems. Yeah, to be honest, they look really all over the place defensively from that set piece, certainly. Really do. So the ball drops back to Wesley Fofana, who will give it back to Robert Sanchez. Well, they've had a good bit of the ball so far, Chelsea, I gotta say. Seem to have had more of the ball than Arsenal, but again, not much joy when they do have it. As ball goes out of play there. 20 minutes gone, Chelsea 0, Arsenal 1, and a bit of frustration from Liam Rosenior on the bench. To the decision making. That's lovely from João Pedro. Finds Neto. Neto down the line to João Pedro again, who was bundled over by William Saliba. A free kick to Chelsea. And they actually aren't too bad at scoring set pieces themselves, Chelsea. 10 they've scored in the league this season. That's 16 across all competitions from set pieces, which is, again, up there with the best in Europe. Here's a ball down the right-hand side for Achiempong. But usually when a team's good at attacking set pieces, that they're good at defending them, because you know where to exploit the opposition and the best way to use your defenders in certain positions. But it is a bit strange. Oh, that's lovely from Neto. Skips past Ben White, leaves him for dead, charges down the left, and the cross into the area was just a little behind his teammates, and Declan Rice was there to retrieve and scramble clear. But he is a real threat for Chelsea tonight. Pedro Neto, not only his skill, but that incredible burst of pace that he can produce from nothing, is a real danger to Chelsea or Arsenal defensively this evening. Here's Enzo Fernandez going for the switch ball. He's got it. Estevao takes it down nicely up against Timber. Estevao couldn't cross it well, so it's cleared away for Fofana now. Fernandez couldn't stay on his feet there as he tried to pick up the ball. A nice Saka rolls it through towards Gyökeres, but shielded away for the moment by Chalobah, as Gyökeres does well to hold it up and finds it back to Zubamendi. Andy says, notice Chelsea myself having mishaps and set pieces. Be interesting where Chelsea let most goals in. And yes, they are very good at attacking sets, so why not defend well? It's odd. Yeah, it is. It is a little odd. Halfway through the first half here at the Bridge, it's Chelsea 0, Arsenal 1. Ben White's goal after 7 minutes from their first corner of the game. Declan Rice's delivery and Ben White at the back post to head it in. But Chelsea at the moment have work to do in their home leg of this semi-final tie. Remember, Arsenal, at the end of the day, I said it last night, when it's a two-legged tie and you're the away team in the first leg, you will take any sort of result that isn't you behind or behind by much. You would even take a one-goal deficit because you've got the second leg at home. You will feel your home crowd and that home advantage in the second leg, that if you're either in front, level, or even just a goal down, you would still have that belief and confidence that you can turn the result around. You can certainly get the best out of your home leg to progress. So it's so important that the team with the first leg at home to really use that as to their advantage. But so far, we really haven't seen either home team over the last two nights do that just yet. Neither have scored to this point. Free kick whipped in by... Oh, the follow-up is on the volley by Zubamendi, but over the bar. Yeah, we see this again. Ball delivered in a little low. It's come off Chalobah, and it rebounds into the path of Zubamendi, who on the volley hit it nicely, but just couldn't keep the shot down. Out for the goal kick. It's, the referee not happy that from a goal kick there was an Arsenal player inside the box, which of course you aren't allowed to have. Both players, all opposition players, have to be outside the 18-yard box when a team's taking a goal kick. And that's going to be a free kick as Zubimendi was too physical there against João Pedro. Free kick to Chelsea. Now, so far, Chelsea have had 59% possession. So, in control of that area of the field. But so far, have had just 2 shots, 1 on target. Arsenal have had 3 shots, 1 on target to this point. As the ball breaks forward here for Enzo Fernandez. Again, goes to that right-hand side for Achiampong. He has to work it back all the way across to Wesley Fofana. Just seems like when Chelsea do go out to that right-hand side, they don't have someone beyond Achiampong to actually threaten. That's a nice ball in behind here. Here is Achiampong, who forces Capo into a save, but I think the flag's gone up anyway. He looked like he might have just strayed offside there, the Chelsea right back. We see it here. He just doesn't get himself back one side. I mean, he's a good 2 yards offside there. Good play though, but just couldn't hold his run. If he did hold his run, I think he still would have got there, but unfortunately unable to produce and hold his run that time. But as I'm saying, it looks a little bit, when Achiampong got it about 30 seconds before that chance, he just got it out in that right-hand side off Enzo Fernandez, and there was no one beyond him. There was no one to actually help progress the ball down that side. That's why he had to come back into midfield, play it back to Esteval, and they end up back with their centre-backs. You just need somebody further beyond the full-back to actually help get the ball down the line, or even work them inside to try and get the ball forward in any stretch. But there's no way for them just to progress the ball through the lines there, and it just kind of broke down the attacking chance. But Achiampong's certainly the one they want to target. They've done that a number of times, but that's nice from João Pedro, hanging off the back of Zubimendi and breaks through into the area. Again, cut back by Guiu to the edge of the box, held up by Santos. Guiu again linking it up, finds Fernandez out to the right hand side. Work back to the edge of the area again for Enzo Fernandez, and now João Pedro across and all the way through and out the other end. And he says, why is no one following in? Why is no one chasing that ball? And I'm sure he has a pretty good argument. There's 3 Chelsea players there, and none of them chase into the box. Yeah. And there was no one there. Guiu, Cucurella amongst them in there, but no one made that run. And João Pedro creating good play, but unable once again, Chelsea there to find the finish. Now Oxford says apparently Arsenal want Arda Güler. I mean, I think they have enough wide players, do they not? But I mean, they're sure they wouldn't say no. So here come Arsenal on the breakaway. Down the left-hand side, worked across to Saka. Good hold-up play by Bukayo Saka. As he lays it off to Ben White. Now, Ødegaard. Ødegaard's whip ball in, away by Chalobah. Nicely recycled though, back to Saliba. Game opening up a little bit more. Chelsea having a little chance. Now Arsenal will have a go, but not with that sort of ball by Trossard. Saliba forced into a header, but he's done well to find Leandro Trossard, who's breaking down this left-hand side. And he's tackled strongly there, but he's got the ball back. Trossard, now Timber, lovely little step in. Now Trossard, skipping away from 2 and went down, but a fair challenge. Sees it go for the corner. That was beautiful from Arsenal. Really good from Trossard again, fighting to keep the ball, and as he does, he lays it back to Timber. Beautiful inside, kind of step away from Achiampong. Lovely little bit of skill by Timber, and then he feeds it through for Trossard. Skips past 2 and then is challenged eventually and put behind for the Arsenal corner. Really good football from Arsenal. And just lacking the finish, but Chelsea scrambled to defend it. Put it behind for another set piece, which Declan Rice will take. Rice, right-footed. It's deep, back post, and this time Robert Sanchez watched the flight of it, measured it well, and got a decent catch on the ball. Just short of 30 minutes gone here at the bridge, and maybe both teams haven't pushing a little bit more, being a little bit more front-footed. And he says, you reminded me of PSG v Villa, that's two-legged tie last season. Get any team at home, 12th man helps. It does indeed. Here's João Pedro. Held it up well against Saka, who tried to make the challenge. Santos into the middle. Enzo Fernandez holds off the challenge well and plays it down the right. Space here for Estevao to break into the area and have a shot. Kappa had to be there, and he was. Corner to Chelsea. Fierce effort by Estevao. Beautiful ball by Enzo Fernandez. This time Estevao stays wide. He has that ability to break into the area. Chops past Timber. Fires it through the legs of the Arsenal left back, and Kappa had to make a good save behind for the corner. So it's whipped in. Away at the near post by an Arsenal head as Cucurella follows in. Heads forward, and the ball will bobble back towards Kappa. As there was a foul anyway. Gabriel was fouled. Free kick to Arsenal, but again, good play down that right hand side from Chelsea, and they've done well at holding up against Arsenal. Arsenal tried to be physical, tried to really put a challenge in on them, be kind of harsh with them, but I gotta say, Chelsea have done really well at holding up 1v1. And it was Enzo Fernandez again, just held it up in the middle, fed it out wide to Estevao this time, who did stay wide in that right flank. Created that angle where he could break into the area. It was Achiempong that actually drifted infield this time, and it worked nicer for Chelsea rather than the other way about. A more natural look between fullback and winger, rather than the other way where the winger comes inside and the fullback stays out wide. Looked a little bit more natural. And it created a very good chance. It's again really good defending from Chelsea. Held out was Gyökeres, and out for the Chelsea throw. Ryan says, hard to look past Arsenal and City even before a ball was kicked this week. Big loss for Chelsea not having Caicedo tonight. 100%. I mean, I got a glimpse of him, but just behind the Chelsea bench. As João Pedro had the space and option to find Estevao, he just couldn't find him. I mean, that space on that right-hand side is enormous. And Jurrien Timber is the only Arsenal player that's anywhere in that vicinity. If they can get Estevao 1v1, Chelsea, on multiple occasions, he will torment Jurrien Timber down that right-hand side. I'm telling you now. It's just about getting into those areas. Because the option is on 99% of the time. That's Chelsea's way back into this game, I'm telling you now. A long way to go, though. Cucurella, smart with his defending, that's really good play by Chelsea, but they just couldn't hold up possession. The referee says play on as Rice feeds it to Ødegaard. Ødegaard in space, rolls it into the path of Timber, who's broke into the area. Trying to skip away from a few as he works it back to Trossard. Trossard does link it up and has the shot from the edge of the area. Well over the bar. Goal kick. See it here again. Timber just cuts it back to the edge of the box. Ball comes to the way of Trossard, who gets a break of the ball and then has a shot right away. But that well over the bar. Andy says Chelsea started off nervous even without the goal. Starting to find a bit of space, but Gunners have it covered, and they're just waiting for the opportunity to just score again, like always, like all season. I think it could be dangerous if Chelsea don't find the net soon, because Arsenal will kill you. They will. You need to pen them back. You need to give them a reason to be a little bit more nervous, a reason to not go gung-ho at you. But I think Chelsea do have opportunities. Just about taking them. Bouncing ball there. Guiu did well against Saliba, but the Arsenal defender ultimately won the battle. And now he has the ball in space here, William Saliba. Down the right-hand side. Lays it out wide to Saka. He works it back in, field to his centre-back, who has used a bit of skill there. Feeds it back to Zubimendi. Well, just around 10 minutes to go with the first half. Chelsea 0, Arsenal 1. The Premier League leaders ahead in this one through Ben White's header from a corner. Other than that, a few half shots at goal, half chances. Chelsea have probably had the best shot since when Estevao cut in from that right-hand side, skipped past Timber and then thumped the shot towards Kepa, which was well saved, but it's been the best Chelsea chance, I'd have to say, so far. João Pedro's had one or two options, or one or two moments, but to this point, the other side have taken their chances. Trossard. Now Estevao, skipping through a number of players. Even when he's covered, he can find a way through. He's got Rice for company as opposite number. Two number 41s down that right-hand side. Estevao still going as Trossard tries to close him out. And as in the end, he just runs out of room on the field. Estevao wanted a corner, but I don't think he's going to get one. I think it's a goal kick, and he's now debating with the assistant. Has to be very careful. Seen a number of players have a debate with the assistant on that side before, and they've ended up with a yellow, but Estevao doesn't on that occasion. He did really well, but he just ran out of room in the end. Run it out of bounds for a goal kick, but everything other than that was fantastic. The ability to avoid challenges, to break past defenders and just opponents. I mean, even Trossard was trying his best to help out. Oh, that was sloppy from Gabriel, but Estevao couldn't take it under a spell, and now Arsenal breaking away. Gyökeres was well covered over by Chalobah behind for the corner. Or Fofana, sorry. Was well covered over, covered them over. Eight minutes to go with the first half, and Arsenal will have corner number 4. As they lead by a goal to 0. Gabriel and Saliba are in the middle. Let's see what Rice can deliver this time. Right-footed, it's a bit more narrow, but well dealt with by Chalobah at the front post. Back it comes to Rice. And the ball cycled all the way back to Zubimendi. Odegaard from deep, off the head of Gyökeres and well wide of the target. Well, a reminder for you, we've got the Manchester Derby, which is a lunchtime kickoff on Saturday, which is an unusual slot for a derby, but nonetheless, that is what time it is. Saturday 12:30 kickoff from Old Trafford. Man United against Manchester City. Man United, who were knocked out of the FA Cup at the weekends, take on a Man City side who've progressed in the FA Cup the weekend just passed and are 1 foot in the Wembley final in the Carabao Cup. So very opposing weeks for the two Manchester teams, and we'll see them face off at Old Trafford Saturday at 12:30. Through into Arsenal down this left-hand side. Declan Rice is the one who's out there to take it. Last time we thought he was going to go long, he went short. He duped us all. It looks like he's ready in for that long throw. He's taken a bit of a run up. Here is Declan Rice, launches it into the area. And it bounced off a Chelsea player. I think João Pedro got something to that to clear it away. It comes back out wide to Rice. Saliba now further forward at the edge of the area. Saliba will have a shot! And that wasn't too far away from the centre back. A good finish for a defender there. Gotta say, he used to skill a brick away to the right hand side and fired a shot at goal. It wasn't too far over. Had Robert Sanchez worried, and it should have. That was a dangerous effort. Cucurella tried to take on Ben White. White got something to it which allowed Arsenal to break onto the ball, but no further to go. As João Pedro back defending. He's right at his own corner flag as he does find an outlet to Cucurella, and Neto was being held on to too much by Zubamendi. Free kick to Chelsea. Well, Chelsea have won or progressed from 4 of the last 6 League Cup ties against Arsenal. The exceptions being their first ever meeting in 76-77 season in the 4th round, and their most recent, which was the 2017-18 semi-final meeting. It's the only 2 occasions where Chelsea haven't progressed against Arsenal in the League Cup. 4 of those other 6 in between those 2, they did progress. Here is Pedro Neto, breaking into space across the field and does all the hard work, doesn't find the easy pass towards Estevao, which sees Chalobah have to mop it up and find it back to his goalkeeper. As Fofana gets it heavy in the box and Sanchez clears it away. That was far from rehearsed. And now they find a breakaway, as that's going to be a free kick. And it's going to be a yellow card to Estevao, actually, for complaints to the referee, and Trossard gets one for the foul. And I think the referee booked Estevao because he waved an imaginary yellow card at the referee, which is, in this day and age, a yellow card offence. Yeah, he just dragged him back there, Trossard. That's definitely a yellow. Dragged back at Chiempong. So Estevao booked for waving the imaginary yellow card, and Leandro Trossard booked for pulling back Josh Chiempong. So both teams with a player in the book. Free kick to Chelsea. Enzo Fernandez running about the edge of the centre circle. Whips it into the area. It's not cleared away. Estevao picks it up on the edge. Rolls it towards Neto, who tried to flick it across, but Arsenal get it free of danger. Just back with Cucurella. Fernandez back to his goalkeeper. And he does unleash that one further forward, but it's only go to his opposing number there in the Arsenal goalkeeper. White did link it up with Saka, who was caught by Cucurella. And that's going to be a yellow card for Marc Cucurella. He tracked Saka inside and in the end took a chunk out of him on the way through. It's a yellow card. Yeah, the ball was gone and he just kind of corralled him without right foot, Marc Cucurella. Well, Chelsea, this is the 3rd time that Chelsea and Arsenal have met in the League Cup semi-finals. Chelsea progressed in the 97-98 campaign, and of course Arsenal progressed in the 17-18 campaign. So 1 apiece when they meet in Cup semi-finals. So Arsenal with the free kick here, about a minute or so to go with the half. Declan Rice again over it. Their set piece taker. You can't blame him for being the set piece taker. He's got some delivery. Oh, that's not one of them. Nicely recycled though by Odegaard from the clearance. Here's Saka down the right touchline. Saka tries the cross, blocked by Cucurella, behind for the corner. Racking up the corners, Arsenal. Chelsea might just want to see this through to half-time now with how close the interval is. They've put Josh Achiempong on the Arsenal goal scorer Ben White to mark him from this corner. Ball whipped in and away at the front post, but there was a foul on Enzo Fernandez. Free kick to Chelsea. One added minutes at the end of the first half. The first half that Mikel Arteta will be fairly pleased. The fact that his team lead, the fact that they're away from home against a tough opponent and leading, but we'll know that Chelsea will give it all they've got in the second to try and fight back and know that this game is far from over. And I'm sure Liam Rossinier, who's a real tactician, will have a few words to say to his team at half-time and a few instructions for them to try and find a way past Arsenal. But even with the best of intentions, it's one of the most difficult things you can do in European football at the minute, is try and score against Arsenal. Albeit Portsmouth did it at the weekend. I mean, the lead didn't last long, but they still scored against Arsenal. They can say they've done that. Many haven't this season. As there's the half-time whistle. Just the one solitary minute, and nothing really happens in that minute. And after one half of football in this first leg, it is the Gunners who lead by a goal to nil. Ben White, the unlikely scorer for Arsenal, to give them a half-time lead from a corner, as per usual. Their 24th league goal from a set-piece this season. And they lead Chelsea by a goal to nil. They've had a good fight back, Chelsea, but they just haven't been able to find that leveller. Can they find it in the second half? We'll find out very shortly. Half-time, it's Chelsea 0, Arsenal 1. Sure, one last kick. This is going to be it. This is the moment. Vicario kicks this. And Liverpool are there. Liverpool are Premier League champions. And there it comes. Crystal Palace, for the very first time in their history, are FA Cup winners. Oh, he's found the net. Oh, what a goal. Kvaratskhelia is through, wants to add a fourth, and does so. Ahmad, oh my goodness me. That is absolutely unbelievable. Rice again. Oh! You thought he couldn't beat the first one. He's gone and battered it. Another whip ball in. The header is in by Virgil van Dijk. Incredible. Across, and there it's fired in, and it's Antoine Semenyo with his second Manchester City goal in his second game in Manchester City colours, and Manchester City take the lead. His first action to whip a corner in, comes off the backside of Antoine Semenyo, and it's 2-0. Even when he's not even trying to score, he does, and City double their lead. Do have VAR in the Carabao Cup Semi-Finals, and are they questioning whether there was an offside there? And final decision, offside, no goal. Absolutely stupid. Bizarre. I mean, this is completely and utterly ridiculous. the definition of trying to find something to disallow a goal rather than genuinely disallowing a goal for a valid reason. Only been a City player for 5 days is going to have the key impact as they break into the box here. Ball cut back and it's fired in, and it's Ryan Cherky to double the lead. Right at the death, Manchester City make it 2, and they probably thought they should have been 2-0 up earlier. Well, they're 2-0 up now with seconds remaining, and I said Newcastle needed to find that balance between trying to push for the leveller and making sure they didn't concede a second. And now the defence of their title and their cup looks to be diminishing in front of their eyes. City have come to the home of the holders and taken it to them in the second half. back to Carabao Cup Live, half-time in our second semi-final, first leg of the competition. It is the visitors who lead by a goal to nil at Stamford Bridge. Arsenal 1 to the good, and as Man City were last night, winning by 2-0. It stands, it would be a Man City-Arsenal final, but a long way to go before that is anywhere near decided, of course. Still a half of this first leg, and the second legs, which will be played on Tuesday and Wednesday of the 3rd and 4th of February, which is 3 weeks' time. We will have the return legs and all building up, as I said before the game, to the 2026 Carabao Cup final at Wembley on Sunday, the 22nd of March. Looking forward to that one. And we'll have all the coverage of all of those games left in this season's competition right the way there, including those second legs, of course, which, as I said, Arsenal face Chelsea in the return leg of this fixture on Tuesday the 3rd of February at the Emirates, before Man City host Newcastle at the Etihad Wednesday, February the 4th. So that is what we've to look forward to. But at half-time in this first leg, it is the visitors who lead, and I think arguably in that first half it was a pretty even first period. I think at times Chelsea had chances, Chelsea created opportunities, but obviously Arsenal took their chance when it came their way, and it just so happened to come from a set piece, as it usually does for Arsenal. Ben White, of course, heading an unlikely score, you got to say, from the set piece, but a set piece score nonetheless. And it really doesn't matter who scores it for Arsenal. All that matters is that they find the lead. And I got to say, I said this last night when it was 0-0 in the Newcastle City game, and I said this would be a better result for City than it would for Newcastle, because they would take a draw out of the first leg because they've got the second leg at home. It's even better for Arsenal right now because they lead by a goal to nil at the break and know that they keep this or even better than this, and they've got an incredible chance of getting to the final when they have the return leg at home. A home form that's been unbelievable this season for Arsenal, along with Man City's home form. So both teams doing well in their away legs only just benefits them for the second leg because of their incredible home form. Chelsea, right now they're not out of it, but they need to do a bit of work in the second half to get themselves into a promising position going to the Emirates, because it's not only that they need to get something of the game tonight, but it's about going away to the Emirates. And if you're trailing or even level in the game going to that match, it will be incredibly tough, no matter what you do in this leg, to have a chance at being going to the final in the second leg. But of course, as I said, Arsenal's history in this competition, I mean, I'll show you the stat again that I showed before the game about Arsenal and getting in semi-finals. This is it here. They've reached the semi-final stage now in 3 of the last 5 seasons, and on each of the last 2 occasions they've got to the semi-finals, they have lost without scoring in both legs, and they lost 2-0 in their home leg in those 2 seasons. 2-0 to Newcastle and 2-0 to Liverpool in those 2 home legs. So if history repeats itself, it will benefit Chelsea. But this season, Arsenal look a different animal than they have looked in previous seasons. So there is no guarantee that history would repeat itself like it has in the past, and we will see. Chelsea's woes have more been about when they do get to Wembley, but it's about trying to find that path to Wembley. And right now, that path is becoming a little narrower with that 1-goal deficit at the break. But of course, Liam Senior will know, and as I said before the first half concluded, he's a tactician. He will find ways to get his team into positions to try and find a way through Arsenal. But as I said in the first half as well, you can have all the best intentions to try and find a way past Arsenal. It's about doing it and finding that way past Arsenal. They're one of the best defensive teams in the league and in Europe. So it will be one hell of a task for Chelsea if they can do it. But of course, they're at home, and they need to find a way back into this game if they're going to give themselves a chance for that second leg, because there is no tougher place to go, really, it seems, at the minute, than to the Emirates against Arsenal. And right now, it's looking a very daunting task for Chelsea when that does come around in 3 weeks' time. But there's still a second half at home to come. And that second half at Stamford Bridge, where it is Chelsea 0, Arsenal 1 at the break. The second half's on the way next. Do stay with us. Welcome back to Carabao Cup Live here on LFS. Second half of the game between Chelsea and Arsenal is on the way next, where Arsenal lead by that 0 at Stamford Bridge. A reminder for you though that we have a massive derby on Saturday lunchtime at Old Trafford. Man United taking on Manchester City in the Manchester derby. That is Saturday 12:30 on LFS. And will Man United have at least an interim manager by that point, or will Darren Fletcher still be in charge of the club? We'll find out. Manchester City, of course, under Pep Guardiola, are an incredible run of form. We'll see who bears fruit in that one on Saturday. But second half here at the Bridge underway in just a moment. And looking at the first half stats, which are to your left-hand side, the left-hand side of your screen, they look pretty muddled if you look at it. There is no real consistency with the stats so far. I think Arsenal have had less possession, Chelsea have had more of the ball, but Arsenal's XG's been higher. Arsenal with more shots, but Chelsea more shots on target. Arsenal with more big chances and more corners, but Chelsea better passing ratio, and on that front as well, more shots outside the box, which is an interesting little stat to go Chelsea's way, and more long ball possession, more successful long balls for Chelsea than Arsenal at the moment. But it is a muddled stats look down that, as you can see, on the left hand side of Chelsea and on the right hand side of Arsenal, and it's just kind of zigzagged the whole way across, which means it's a competitive game that is very little between them. And at the moment, a set-piece goal from Ben White is what separates these two teams. But will that be either eradicated or added to in the second half? We will see. Now, a reminder, don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on post notifications if you haven't done so already. That'll be greatly appreciated. Of course, we have so much football to bring you right the way throughout the second half of the season, up until the end of May, and then it's a big summer ahead of us, of course. The World Cup, which is on the horizon. So lots to look forward to in 2026 as we get underway at the Bridge for the second half. Chelsea get us going, and they have all the work to do in the second half if they're going to find a way to take an advantage to North London in 3 weeks' time. But can Arsenal hold on to this lead or even build upon it and take a massive advantage back to the Emirates? This is a game where, as I said, we talked about it in the first half, the injuries that have caused Chelsea to lose a number of key players tonight. No Cole Palmer, no Moises Caicedo, no Reece James. A depleted Chelsea team, probably in their first 11. A few of those out there that maybe wouldn't play in ordinary circumstances if those three players that aren't here tonight were in the fit and available. But it's all about next man has to step up, and on that occasion, a few of those getting chances tonight haven't really taken them. As Saka gives away a free kick to Marco Correa. And look at that. The goals in the first 15 minutes of a second half of Europe's top 5 leagues in all competitions, Arsenal and Chelsea. 18 for Arsenal, 16 for Chelsea in terms of goals in the first 15 minutes of their games this season. So if we're going to see a big moment in this second half. It's very likely to be in the next 14 minutes or so. Headed one by Caoimhan, taken in by Estevao, but nicely shielded by Rice. Declan Rice will spray it back across the back line and to William Saliba. No changes at the break, by the way. Both teams keeping the 11 that ended the half to start the second. We'll see whether benches will be needed. I would suspect both will go to their benches within the next 15 minutes or so, and Arsenal's looks stronger than Chelsea's. That's a great opportunity to put a ball through William Saliba. A little bit Gabriel, a little bit nervy there as he cleared it away from his goalkeeper, who tried to come and gather that, but that was a little bit of miscommunication between Gabriel and Kepa. Here is Trevor Chalobah. Down the right comes Estevao. Back inside to Chalobah. Now Andres Santos. Fernandez. Neto. Not given the room there as he was challenged by Saka, and Saka trying to break down the right flank, but Cucurella's got him covered. Sees it out for the throw. It's taken quickly and towards the path of Saka. Saka gets it off away from Cucurella, waiting for the overlap. Lays it through to White. White across, goes through the hands of Sanchez and fired in by Victor Gyökeres. A goalkeeping error pounced upon by the Arsenal centre forward, and he doubles Arsenal's lead. White turns from finisher to provider, and Victor Gyökeres with the second goal for Arsenal. That is a major goal in this tie. Doubles Arsenal's lead and gives them major daylight in this Carabao Cup semi-final. See it here. Saka waiting for the overlap of White. White gets the ball through. He guides it across the 6-yard box. Robert Sanchez should do better. Just kind of palms it, takes the power out of the shot, or the cross by White, and it just rolls into the path of Gyökeres, who pounces upon it and finds it into the back of the net. It is a simple goal as Victor Gyökeres will ever score, from 2 yards out to an empty net. Chelsea 0, Arsenal 2, and surely this is a lead that Arsenal won't throw away in this semi-final tie. Here's Estevao though, trying to give Chelsea an instant response. He's undercooked the crossfield pass, but Odegaard couldn't hold it up. Chelsea back on the ball. Less than 5 minutes going to the second half, and Arsenal already in a very fortuitous position in this away leg of this Carabao Cup tie. Chelsea with even harder a task now. That's a lovely ball by Estevao, linked it up nicely with Santos, and Caoimhan's cross was telegraphed across the box. No one there to get anywhere near it. Well, is it just one of those where it's not really gone Liam Senior's team's way tonight? It's not that they've really done much wrong, but Arsenal have been clinical when they needed to be, and quite simply Chelsea haven't. Albeit a bit of fortune in that second goal, but you have to be there to benefit from those types of moments, and Victor Gyökeres certainly was there in the right moment to pounce upon that poor goalkeeping error by Robert Sanchez. They've won a corner here though, Chelsea. If they are going to fight back, they've got a lot of time to do so. Around about 40 minutes of this game still to go, so a long way to go in this tie, plus the second leg. But Arsenal in a very strong position. Right-footed delivery from the corner. Kepa came for it, and Kepa's been fouled, which is going to get a free kick to Arsenal, and he's stayed on the ground there. Has Kepa. Wesley Fofana was the man. He was wrestling with the Arsenal goalkeeper, right? Oh. I don't know, you know. It's a high boot, but he did get the ball. Nonetheless, movement from the Chelsea bench, which maybe a little bit earlier than Liam Senior would have wanted to, but I think that second goal forced his hand. And that's going to see Benoit Badiashile and Alejandro Garnacho to be coming on. So Mark Guiu replaced by Garnacho. And Josh Achiempong replaced by Badiashile. So bit of little of a rejig for Chelsea. I would suspect maybe they go to a 3, maybe? They could go to a back 3. Badiashile, Fofana and Chalobah as the 3 centre-backs. Cucurella pushing further forward, and then we'll see, but for the moment it stays a 4 with Fofana going to right back. And he has played a 3 at the back. Did play a 3 at the back at Strasbourg, did Liam Senior. So he's not too unfamiliar with the system. Whether his players are fitted are ready enough to play it is another question, but at the moment he stays with a 4. Arsenal's free kick goes short towards Trossard, down the left channel, whipped into the area, up and away by Chalobah, only as far as Saka though. Now Ben White back down the right hand side to Bukayo Saka. Rolls it back, a little bit of space to shoot from Odegaard, who forces a good save out of Sanchez. Parried wide out for the throw in on the far side, but first real glimpse of goal for Martin Odegaard tonight. Got the ball around about 25 yards out, and he set himself up for the strike with the left foot. A good save out of Sanchez to stop him. Saka challenging Cucurella and winning a corner off Marc Cucurella, who wanted the foul, but Simon Hooper, the referee, said there wasn't a foul. Will be an Arsenal corner. Yeah, there's nothing in that. Saka doesn't do much wrong there at all, and Marc Cucurella went down a little easily. Corner to Arsenal. I mean, they could have this tie done and dusted tonight if they really wanted to, Arsenal, by the way they're playing so far. Another set-piece chance, Saka over to take. At the end of which those Arsenal fans reside inside Stamford Bridge. Simon Hooper has to take action on 1 or 2 over physical tussles in there. So Saka to whip this ball in. Left footed. Swung towards the goal as Sanchez punches clear. Rice's header. Met by a head of a Chelsea player as Gyökeres does well. Holds it up and wins the corner off Andre Santos on the opposite side. Penning Chelsea in, not letting them out at the minute. And they really want to try and take as much of an advantage as they can here tonight, Arsenal. Chelsea are just wavering, and this is where they need to stand strong, because if it goes to 3, it looks like a bit of an impossibility for any chance at getting back into this game and into this tie completely. Rice whips the ball in. It's very deep, that one. Up in the air by Gyökeres, but bounces behind. And goal kick will come. Well, Victor Gyökeres on the score sheet. What has been a little bit of a barren drought for him, without a goal in 6 since he last scored on the road away at Hill Dickinson, where he scored a penalty and a 1-0 win for Arsenal against Everton. Here's Pedro Neto lifting across and over the top. Garnacho rifles it in, and Chelsea might just be back in this. 2-1, and a great strike from the Chelsea substitute to get them within 1. Chelsea 1, Arsenal 2. That's the response this crowd wanted. See it here. Bit of a scramble from Gabriel, picked up really nicely by Enzo Fernandez. Done that so well in the midfield tonight. Laid out wide onto the right hand side by João Pedro. Neto's delivery from that right flank drops into the path of Alejandro Garnacho. See it here again. Garnacho chests it down. Low, hard, right down the throat of the goalkeeper, but underneath his legs and into the back of the net. And that's the response and the goal that Chelsea so desperately needed in this tie. Chelsea 1, Arsenal 2. And I said Liam Senior, master tactician, engineering positions to find his players an opportunity to score. And it just so happens, coincidentally or not, that one of his substitutes on the field just 4 minutes is the man to get them back in this game. Albeit they've another corner to defend here to Chelsea. Footed from Saka, up and away, and the strike from range is wide of the goal by Odegaard. If he got that on target, it would have been 3-1 because the goalkeeper was otherwise occupied with 1 or 2 Arsenal players. In the end it came to nothing, but that's really re-energised this, what was a crowd that starting to really believe that it wasn't going to be there now, that it wasn't going to be their year, that have a chance at it. But as I said, a long way to go, and what they needed, Chelsea, was that goal. They needed to get that next goal in the game because they were wavering, they were really falling away in the match. And that's a nice move, and they're in behind again. Here's Estevao charging towards goal, trying to get it across to Garnacho, just underhit it. If he got the pace right on that one, it really could have been a threat. This has got them going now. Andre Santos laid into João Pedro in space. Back to Santos. Now Fernandez. Out to the left to Garnacho. Breaking towards the box. He's got Saka and White for company, but Garnacho tries to edge out a cross. Away by Saliba. Anywhere will do for William Saliba there. And that's just going to rile up the crowd even more. Just short of the hour mark inside Stamford Bridge. Chelsea 1, Arsenal 2. Ben White opened the scoring for the Gunners. The lead was then doubled when Victor Gyökeres found the net from a Robert Sanchez spill. But Garnacho has reignited this crowd, and here he is again. Cuts it back to Cucurella. Left-footed cross in. Up and away. It was João Pedro was the closest. They've really taken a foothold now in this game, Chelsea. That goal has given them real momentum, despite still trailing. Enzo Fernandez, Pedro Neto, finding Estevao now. Cuts inside on his left foot, and the shot was headed away from goal. Behind for the corner. Gabriel puts his head to that one. See it here, cuts inside, and Timber tells Trossard to block. Trossard doesn't get there in time and allows the shot in. And Gabriel has to take evasive action. A bit of behind for the corner. Whether Kepa was going to get there or not was another question, but Gabriel made sure his goalkeeper didn't need to be there. Behind for the corner. Ball flicked in. Away at the near post. Finding its way back to the corner taker. He will whip it in again, Enzo Fernandez. But again it will bounce back out towards him. Here is Garnacho. Just overhitting it. There's a bit of handball from both teams there, but it's actually gone against Chelsea. Garnacho handling it last. Free kick to Arsenal. I gotta say, It's now Arsenal that seem to be under all the pressure. Will be a little bit of a worry for Mikel Arteta. And here come the Gunners again. Gyökeres finding Trossard. Jinking into space. Finding Timber, but the sheer amount of Chelsea bodies back there was able to smother that. And Garnacho wins a free kick, which will alleviate a little bit of pressure. Liam Rossinier very much engaged on the sideline. Mikel Arteta biting his nails, which doesn't bode confidence. Very different mannerisms from the two head coaches. One who looks confident, the other who looks nervous, but it's actually the scoreline the opposite way. That's what goals can do. From a 2-goal lead, and now feeling they're hanging on to that lead, Arsenal, in this game. It's been the fact as well that Chelsea have been able to control possession all night. And that's beautiful play again as it breaks out this right hand side for Fofana. Now Pedro Neto drifts infield, but not many options ahead of him. He will wait for João Pedro to open up, and in the end Arsenal able to scramble it away with Gabriel. But again, Chelsea on the front foot. A little bit loose though towards Neto. Recovered by Timber, and now finding Rice. Well, Chelsea have progressed from the last 3 League Cup semi-final ties. But as I told you earlier, it's their Wembley woes. They've gone on to lose each of those finals. 2 on penalties and 1 after extra time. They last went out at this stage of the competition when they faced Arsenal in the 2017-18 competition. So is it a good or a bad omen? In terms of Arsenal, they've been eliminated from their last 4 semi-final ties in all competitions, actually. Their longest ever run of Final Four eliminations in their history. 2020-21 Europa League semi-finals, the 21-22 League Cup semi-finals, 24-25 League Cup, and the 24-25 Champions League semi-finals as well. Saka pulled back there, it looked like, from Chalobah. Or Badiashile, actually. And he's going to get a yellow card. Badiashile's gone out to that left side, actually, it looks like. Yeah, Benoit Badiashile was not letting Bukayo Saka through there. Tried to be coy with it, but, I mean, didn't do well at covering that. Definitely a yellow. And the Chelsea man into the book. Another Chelsea substitute. Having a very different say. And after Chelsea went to the bench around 10 minutes ago, it's now Arsenal's turn. Gabriel Martinelli and Mikel Merino are the two getting ready on the sidelines. 25 to go at the Bridge. Arsenal with a free kick around about 23 yards out, 24 yards out. Rice and Gabriel, it looks like it's over it. I don't think Gabriel's going to be taking it. Rice or Odegaard. Odegaard's shown up at the last second. Get involved in the conversation. All they really need to do is try and test Robert Sanchez. We've already seen him tonight. Slippy fingers. Needs to hold strong here if this comes anywhere near his goal. Rice and Odegaard over it for Arsenal. Slightly to the right of goal. Around about 24 yards out. Tall Chelsea wall in the way. One special strike it would take. Rice! Who couldn't get it on target. Swung right of the goal. And behind into those Arsenal fans. So a double substitution for Mikel Arteta's side. It's going to see Leandro Trossard replaced by Gabriel Martinelli. So straight swap on that left flank. And also it's going to see the replacement of Martin Odegaard for Mikel Merino. So Bukayo Saka is going to get the captain's armband for Arsenal. So Odegaard and Trossard's nights are over. And Martinelli and Merino in their places. Some fresh legs in attack for Arsenal just to help them over the line and give them a bit of renewed threat against this Chelsea team. And as I told you, it was Mikel Merino who scored against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge in the league meeting this season. And he's on to try and repeat the same feat. To try and score again. This time, to try and give his team a 2-goal lead once again. As Fofana went down under a challenge, it's going to get Chelsea a free kick. Here is Enzo Fernandez, pulling the strings in that Chelsea midfield all night. Here's Pedro Neto, down the right hand side to Estevao, but works it back infield to Santos. Now across to Fernandez, outside of the boot to Garnacho. Cucurella couldn't quite find the return ball. Saka has it now. Challenge, but the referee will say play on. Saka still down. As he comes back to his feet, receives the ball. Zubamendi. White. Zubamendi. Timber. To Saliba. Back to Kepa. He's come a good distance out of his goal. Just over 20 minutes to go. Chelsea 1, Arsenal 2. Arsenal moved that little bit of a storm that Chelsea threw at them after their goal. Arsenal looked to be home and dry. Looked like they were soaring towards a victory here this evening, but that goal from Chelsea just put a spanner in the works for the Gunners and gave Chelsea a little bit of a lifeline in this game, and certainly in this tie overall, which looked like it was falling and crumbling in the first leg, but there's still some life in the Blues just yet. That's a flick ball by Estevao. The flag's gone straight up against João Pedro. Wasn't even given the chance to get towards goal, but they have threatened in behind multiple times tonight, Chelsea, and on that occasion just couldn't link it up correctly to beat the offside trap. Zubamendi does well. Finds the through ball to Merino. Now Saka up against Cucurella. Saka drives inside, finds Merino. Merino towards Gyökeres, who lays it off now. Dribbling for a chance! And that's a great goal. Martin Zubamendi picked that one out of the net. And Chelsea 1, Arsenal 3. And that surely is a Gunners victory on course now. Chelsea got one back, but Arsenal restore their 2-goal lead. And that is going to once again break Chelsea hearts. And that is surely going to put a chance of them getting to the final even more threat now, and make it even more likely to be the North London club heading back to Wembley. Oh, really good finish by Zubamendi. He took his time. It took a couple of little jinks of the ball. He manoeuvred in the area, waiting for the right moment to strike, and when he did strike, a top quality finish into the far left corner. Sanchez full stretch, couldn't stop it, and that's restored the 2-goal lead, and that's relaxed Mikel Arteta, who was looking very nervous for a while when it was just 2-1. It's now 3-1 and his team are surely cruising towards that League Cup final that they've been so desperately pushing for so many years under Mikel Arteta since he first came to the club. They've fallen twice before, but is it third time lucky for Arsenal? And it looks like it just might be. Remember as well, it's not only the fact that they've lost both semi-final ties before in the Carabao Cup, they never scored in either game, in either tie. Drew 0-0 with Liverpool in the first leg, then lost 2-0 in the second, and then lost 2-0 in both legs against Newcastle last time round as Neto's deep ball. Cucurella flicks it back into the area. Up and away by Rice and cleared away as Benoit Badiashile picks up. Finds it back to Cucurella, but that is again a real killer to Liam Senior and his team, who looked like they were fighting their way back into the game, but ultimately they let the game drift a little bit. Didn't really continually apply that pressure to Arsenal, and once the game drifted, you felt that Arsenal could just stride back into the game with fresh legs as Estevao again into the box. Well blocked. Neto. Well, despite the 3-1 scoreline, they haven't given up on this game yet, Chelsea. So 17 minutes to go, and albeit they're 2 goals down, they're still showing fight to try and get the next goal. And speaking of that, they've scored more goals than any other side left in the competition. They've scored 9. Brighton had 12 and Cardiff had 10, but neither of those two are in the competition anymore. Here's Estevao again in good position, but when he took a shot, somehow it was touched by an Arsenal player and he took it away from him, and then Arsenal get the free kick in the edge of the area to allow them to break away. Yeah, it's a good block by Rice, and then Marino was taken down in the edge of the area by Santos. And a free kick. Well, it's not only recently that Arsenal struggled in the semi-finals of this competition. No side has ever been knocked out of the semi-final stage of this competition more than Arsenal. Also, Spurs have 9 times they've been knocked out at this stage. And they've, as I said, went out at this stage to Newcastle last season, with Man United the last team to do so in consecutive campaigns, but that sort of stat looks irrelevant now with a 3-1 Arsenal lead at Stamford Bridge. And a change for Chelsea's going to see Jarell Hatto come on and replace Wesley Fofana at right back for Chelsea. .15 to go, and really what has been a pretty perfect night for Arsenal. As Kepa's given a yellow card for, I would suspect, time wasting. Or in the more professional way, delaying the restart. Here's Gyökeres. Martinelli. Props. Shot! Oh! Well saved by Robert Sanchez. Mikel Merino with the chance. Could have been 4-1. Again, ball stayed in the air for a bit of time there. Gyökeres worked it into the area. Martinelli, and then it deflected off, I think, was it Saka? And then it drops for Mikel Merino at the back post, and Sanchez gets a right foot to it. He was diving out of the way, but somehow his right foot was there to stop it. Otherwise it would have been 4-1. And this tie could have been over tonight. And that's the fear. If it does go to a 3-goal advantage for Arsenal, it's really completely probably dead rubbered that second leg. Ball cleared over the top by Gabriel at the back post. Yeah, another Rice delivery. Right footed and headed down into the ground by Gabriel and bounced over. Again, a free header at the back post, and connected cleanly, but that could have been a goal as well. They've really got Chelsea where they want them at the minute, Arsenal. They're on the ropes, to say the very least. Oh, that was awkward. So it bounces towards Kepa, who gets rid. A nicer way to put it than that, but he got rid of it. Here's Martinelli. Blocked by Chalobah, but he gets a break of the ball. Martinelli charging forward. Rolls it into the path of Zubamendi, who lifts it across. Chested by Marino, and Martinelli's shot was blocked. Game's open as anything, as that's a poor challenge from behind. And that's going to be a yellow card and a free kick to Chelsea. Mikel Merino with the booking. Yeah, João Pedro breaking forward, and he's just kind of hauled at by Mikel Merino, who goes to ground and hacks him to the floor. That gets the Arsenal midfielder a yellow card. Well, one thing about these semi-final ties of the last two nights has been, I mean, a hat full of yellow cards. This was that was the 6th yellow card of the game, 3 for each team. There was quite a number between Newcastle and Man City last night as well. The referees certainly know where their cards are. Robert Sanchez with a long kick forward towards Garnacho, but was dealt with by White for a second, as Garnacho did break onto the ball the second time. As Pedro slips and is bundled over by Saka. It is a free kick taken quickly by Chelsea. Enzo Fernandez switches it out to Estevao, who 1 couldn't take it in and 2 was offside. I gotta say, Estevao's not had a bad game by any stretch of the imagination. In that first half, he was really the only outlet for Chelsea. Second half, he's just complemented the Chelsea attack well. It's just the final product, and of course, I mean, still only 18 years old. That is probably the biggest disadvantage to any young player, is the fact that they lack the end product, but the skill and the build-up play is what's getting Estevao into the team, and he's almost single-handedly attacking for Chelsea in that first half. So very good performance from the 18-year-old again, but ultimately it looks like he will be on the losing side. Just over 10 minutes to go. Chelsea 1, Arsenal 3. Game that looked like it was going one way, then the other, and it swung back to the way it was going for the first time tonight. And they took the lead inside 7 minutes, Arsenal. Ben White with the header from a corner, and doubled their lead right not long into the second half, when Victor Gyökeres was there to tap in after a Robert Sanchez spill. And Chelsea got themselves back into the game when Alejandro Garnacho made it 2-1 before a third goal was scored so succulently by Martin Zubamendi to restore that 2-goal lead for Arsenal. Spadia's shield shoved over by Gyökeres. Andy says both games very good games. Makes the cup a good one. It certainly does. And I had no doubt when these matchups were made, I had no doubt there would be 2 really good ties. And this one really has been a good tie, as Chelsea go to their bench once more. Make a double change. Arsenal are also going to go to their bench. So Marco Correa and João Pedro coming off. Tosin is coming on, as well as the youngster, another 18-year-old, Shamara Mahuka for Chelsea. And also coming off for Arsenal, they've made a double change. Victor Gyökeres is off. He's replaced by Gabriel Jesus. And Declan Rice is replaced by Kai Havertz. So a double change for both teams. course, Kai Havertz, a former Chelsea player as well. Quite amazingly, scored the winner in a Champions League final for Chelsea. Did Kai Havertz. Now playing in opposite colours. And I gotta say, for two rivals, they love to do transfer business. I mean, Arsenal and Chelsea, I mean, nearly every window there's a transfer between these two. I mean, probably the most recent, I think, was Raheem Sterling's loan spell. They do dealings with each other. Here's Estevao as again charges towards the area, wins a corner, which the crowd applaud, and you gotta say that's been Estevao all night, really. Continuous work to try and give his team any sort of little advantage or give them anything in an attacking sense tonight, and he's won them a corner here. Delivered in by Enzo Fernandez, drops for Garnacho, who finds it again, and he's got them within a goal again. Alejandro Garnacho on the double, and it's 2-3. What a cup tie this has been. When Arsenal look like they're running away with it, Chelsea say not so quickly, and Alejandro Garnacho with both Chelsea goals has got them back within one again. From the corner, Pedro Neto actually whips it in this time. It's cleared away and it drops to Garnacho. He's on his own around that left-hand side of the area. What they feel is a foul on Kepa. I don't think so. I mean, he's smothered himself within 4 players of both teams. I mean, that would be a stretch. The shot from Garnacho bounces off the ground, lifts up and into the net. And Liam Rosenior punches the air. And now they're checking for that possible foul. VAR. I mean, really? It's a goal. It stands. And I think that's fair enough. I mean, Kepa gets himself in the mix of 4 or 5 players. It's not a foul. I mean, goalkeeper's too protected sometimes in football, but the right decision prevails. Great goal. Chelsea back in it again. Never know when they're beaten. Chelsea 2, Arsenal 3. What an incredible cup tie. And Alejandro Garnacho, a brace off the bench. The true super sub. And he's got them back within a goal again. I mean, how this game has swung both ways tonight. And I mean, I wouldn't bet against them getting a third now, Chelsea. You never know. Here they come again. Enzo Fernandez breaking forward. Down the right it comes. Estevao calling for offside Arsenal. Estevao! Good save by Kepa. I think the flag was up. This is not over by any stretch of the imagination here. Enzo Fernandez breaking forward. I mean, he's a good bit offside there. That's something he'll learn as he gets older, Estevao, because I mean, it's unbelievable what he does afterwards, but he just doesn't hold his run. And a couple of times tonight, he's just hung off the wrong side of the defensive line and just gone a little quickly. Too eager to get forward and has to hold his run there, but of course, everything he does afterwards, if it was onside, it would have been a wonderful move. Here come Arsenal again. They want to finish this for probably the 3rd time tonight. They thought they had this game wrapped up. And maybe they'll have another go at it. Here is Timber. 4 minutes of normal time to go. Urian Timber couldn't get it into the area. Lofts it over the bar. Goal kick. Maybe Mikel Arteta, who seemed to have relaxed a little bit. Maybe a bit more nervous again. If Chelsea can't get that leveler, this would be an incredible setup for the second leg. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think anybody scored 3 goals against Arsenal this season. Correct me if I'm wrong, but not many have scored 2 against Arsenal either. It's a rarity that it happens. This has been one hell of a strange game, but it's been one incredible one. Here is Pedro Neto, who's on the breakaway here down the right. He's got Gabriel for company. Takes it to the right, and Neto happy to win the corner. Gabriel with a block. Corner to Chelsea. And this is some change of the atmosphere. It's once again Chelsea on the front foot. Arsenal up against it once more, and they still lead, but they're up against some pressure. Neto delivers in again, this time narrower. And this one is going to be a foul against Chelsea. Kepa taken down. And it's going to be a free kick to Arsenal. As I mean, they all seem to drop dead there. I mean, Gabriel's down. Other Arsenal players down at the front post as well. I mean, they're really struggling here, Arsenal. If they can come away with this, this will be a great result considering how well this game's swung back and forth. If they can come away with the lead, they will take it. No, the second leg will not be easy either. Chelsea, as I said tonight, the perfect example of a team that just doesn't know when they're beaten. 2-0 down, get it back to 1 goal. 3-1 down, get it back to 1 goal. I mean, they're now trying to push for the equaliser. It is incredible mentality from Chelsea. Obviously, they shouldn't get themselves in the first place to be 2 goals down, but it's all about responding and reacting to what happens. And the reaction to things tonight, Chelsea have been really quite good. But as I said, when they went back to 2-1, they allowed the game to drift afterwards, and that's what got Arsenal back to making it 3-1 and took the sting out of the game, took the roar out of the crowd, and so just allowed Arsenal to regain control and get that 3rd goal. I think if they can, they want to just try and keep this crowd up and keep the energy against Arsenal, but as I said, one hell of a task. They fought so well so far tonight as Saka goes down under a challenge from Andre Santos. It's going to be a free kick, and it's going to be a yellow card handed out to a Chelsea player. And is it Pedro Neto? Yeah, late challenge there by Andre Santos. It is late, and it is a foul. Who was given the yellow card? I think it might be it is Pedro Neto that was given the yellow card. And of course, Chelsea, some problems with bookings. More the other colour, not yellow, the more red, but yellow cards aren't good either to get. I mean, that's the 7th card of the night, the 4th for Chelsea, 3 for Arsenal, so it's been one of those type of games. This is a free kick in a decent area for Martin Zubamendi's already found the net tonight. He's going to go short this time. Saka wide on the right into 5 added minutes. Cut back, lifted in by White, and too close to Robert Sanchez, who wants to unleash a threat of Estevao in behind, but Kepa should have that one covered, and does. Clears his lines. As Chalobah breaks to get the bounce of the ball. Mahuka. Enzo Fernandez again trying to find Estevao through. He was out-muscled by Gabriel. He wanted a foul, and he's not going to get one for that. Saka down the right-hand side. He's breaking towards the area. Saka lofts it into the path of Havertz, who toe-poked it right at Robert Sanchez. I'm telling you, this crowd definitely believe they can get a leveller. They definitely believe they can make this 3-3. Why not? Garnacho to complete the hat-trick maybe, who knows. Remember, there's still almost 3 minutes of the game to go, and I think Chelsea need to learn from Newcastle's mistake last night. Trying to chase the leveller is as dangerous, because you might end up paying the price at the other end. That's what they need to be wary of. Newcastle tried to push for the lever and ended up paying the price of conceding a late second goal against City to be 2 goals down going into the second leg. I think Chelsea, based on what's happened tonight, the worst thing in the world would be to go down 2 goals again before the finish line here. Even if it is defeat, it's by a narrow margin, and you never know what the second leg can hold. But at 2 goals down, you make it immensely more difficult for yourself. The last time Arsenal did win here at Stamford Bridge, it would be their first victory at the Bridge since a 1-0 victory in November 2022 in the Premier League. They won 1-0 with Gabriel the only scorer in that game. That was a year that Arsenal actually won 3. It was a 3-game winning run at Stamford Bridge. They won 1-0, 4-2 and 1-0 in those 3 games during that year and a half spell between May of 2021 and November of 2022. Here's Martinelli in behind, finding the run of Jesus. Cut back, goes down. Penalty, although it's offside. The referee did give penalty, but the assistant's flag went up to reverse that decision. But they are incredibly lucky. If that is offside, they're incredibly lucky there, Chelsea, because that is definitely a penalty. See it again here. Great ball by Martinelli. He's offside. He is. Gabriel Jesus, good yard offside. But that has saved the blushes of Jarell Hato, I think it is, with the challenge. He's late. It's Gabriel chops back, or Gabriel Jesus chops back onto his left foot. He takes him out, and he's been saved by the offside flag. Finding that balance. Finding that balance, my goodness me. Ooh. Playing out from the back here, Chelsea. Tosin, Sanchez, if they can pump one forward, get one last chance maybe. Badiashile, working it into an area, lofting it towards Mahuka. Did really well. He's found Garnacho, who evades a couple. Garnacho switches it out to the right hand side. Here's Estevao. Here's the one last chance. Estevao with the ball in, and the flick-on header is right into the hands of Kepa, off the head of Pedro Neto. 5 minutes up. It's up to the referee now, as that's going to be a free kick, and it's going to be a yellow card for Urian Timber. So a free kick for Chelsea, maybe one last hope to get the ball into the box. Well, that levels it up again. 4 apiece in terms of yellow cards. Well, they're smiling despite their team trailing. The fight back of Chelsea tonight has been quite fantastic, but can they have the ultimate comeback? Robert Sanchez takes this free kick inside his own half, chips it towards the area, but away by Arsenal. And that's the final whistle. Arsenal do take a lead back to the Emirates. It could have been 2 goals at multiple times tonight, but as I said, Chelsea said not so quickly. Alejandro Garnacho halving the deficit on 2 occasions, from 2-0 down to 2-1 and 3-1 down to 3-2. A game that Chelsea never knew when they were beaten. In the end, they are beaten, but only by that solitary goal. It was Ben White that got the score and started. That seems like a lifetime ago that Ben White gave Arsenal the lead. It's been one hell of a cup tie, full of goals, full of yellow cards as well, and it's going to boil over at the end here as well, with Enzo Fernandez and Gabriel having a heated debate. But you got to say, one hell of a game, and we're set up for a cracking return leg at the Emirates in 3 weeks' time. It really is getting a little bit heated out there. And Liam Senior's got himself right in the mix there to try and calm it all down, to try and play referee. And the actual referee watches on to see what actually happened. And Gabriel's still complaining. I don't know what he's complaining about. Anyway, it is all over. 5 goals, 3 for Arsenal, 2 for Chelsea. I mean, more of the same in the second leg. We knew this was going to be an interesting tie, but we didn't know quite how much intrigue there was going to be. In the end, as I said, full of goals, full of action, full of drama. Exactly what we love in a semi-final. Final score at Stamford Bridge. It's finished Chelsea 2, Arsenal 3. And that is the first leg's done and dusted. It is the away teams that take the advantage back to their home stadiums for the second legs. Newcastle beaten by 2-0 against Manchester City last night. Antoine Semenyo and Ryan Cherki with the 2 goals there. And Newcastle, the only side out of the 4 teams to have played that haven't scored. The current holders, and their defence of their title looks in a really tough spot at the moment. We'll see how they respond in 3 weeks' time. And as I said, well, Chelsea were 2 goals down on multiple occasions tonight, but fought their way back and all off the hands, well, the feet of Alejandro Garnacho, who scored both goals and really reignited this Chelsea team. Their hopes of getting to Wembley under Liam Senior are not done and dusted yet. And in his first game at home as Chelsea boss, ends in defeat, but really an inspired and pretty, not a good defeat. No defeat is good, but certainly a good performance against Arsenal in the end. And they'll take a lot from that. But in the end, it is Mikel Arteta's Gunners who might have just banished those semi-final hoodoos of previous seasons. Albeit they're not over the line just yet, but they've got a lead to take back to the Emirates. And who knows what the second legs have to hold, but I'm sure they will give us some storylines to talk about when they do come around. Speaking of them, the second legs of these Carabao Cup ties will be played on the 3rd and 4th of February. The Arsenal-Chelsea game will be played on Tuesday the 3rd of February at the Emirates, and City against Newcastle in the return leg at the Etihad will be played on Wednesday the 4th of February. But that is it from us tonight. An incredible London derby that's ended Chelsea 2, Arsenal 3. It ebbed and flowed. It pushed, really, everybody to the limits. Arsenal looked like they were struggling towards the end, but they get over the line and take a lead back to the Emirates in 3 weeks' time. The second legs in a few weeks, and I'm sure it'll be one hell of 2 games to see who will be heading to Wembley in March time. It's Arsenal with the lead, going back to the Emirates. Well, they've just edged out Liam Senior's Chelsea by 3-2. Night.